Two guys who love to talk fantasy baseball.
3 and 2.
This is Full Count Fantasy Baseball.
In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened.
Here are your improbable hosts, Dean Millard and Jordan Blundell.
Presented by Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports. Get in the game where you own the game.
Hello there and welcome to Full Count Fantasy Baseball, take number 2. We had obviously an audio problem there, so decided to just restart the show here. Apologize for that. Hopefully you're still with us. This show presented, of course, by Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports and broadcast on the Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network. Usually I have Jordan Blundell with me as my co-host, but he had a previous commitment, so could not bring him on the show, but we'll get him on again next week. And usually I have a question for him, but today the question is for you.
This is a serious message. Peace and love. Peace and love.
So the question about the games on the docket today is we've got 2 early games. One of them will be getting started in about 17 minutes or so. That would be the Nats and the Braves. But the Yankees-Rays game is what I want to ask you about. Who goes deeper in the playoffs between the Rays and the Yankees? That is the question. Hit me up on Twitter at Duck Millard and let me know what you think. Which team will go deeper into the postseason? The AL East is really interesting. You've got Tampa on top. You got the Rays, the Rays and Yankees right now, and the Red Sox and Yankees starting this weekend. And then you go Winnipeg's only Toronto's only 4.5 games back as well. So, man, that AL East is so really competitive. But out of the teams that'll be starting in just over an hour, or just under an hour, rather, who do you think goes deeper in the playoffs, Yankees or Red Sox? Hit me up on Twitter at Duck Millard. Big thanks, of course, to our title sponsor, Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports. You will not find a more realistic, higher stakes fantasy platform out there. And this is how cool it is. Whatever sport UFFS builds mimics nearly everything about the league it's based on. So the UFHL is based almost everything about the NHL with massive prize pools, 31,000 this year. Our prize pool starts at 40,000 almost next year, and it's progressive. It goes up with every transaction. Entry fees are $1,000. Teams have sold for 51,000. Like, it is amazing. And yes, baseball fans, the Ultimate Fantasy League Baseball will be the next best thing to owning an actual Major League Baseball team. You will get the chance to own player NFTs, and the players are going to be involved. We have some big plans. Check out what sport you're into, www.uffsports.com, and that is where you will be able to find all the information. We're on Telegram as well, so you can join our chats there and just immerse yourself in the community and find out what is going on with the future of fantasy sports. www.uffsports.com. Here's what we have lined up for you. I will get to the headlines of the week in just a second. Jordan did send in his best bullpens. Baseball Thunderdome is going to be a choice for you, the viewer, and we got a couple of legends for you to pick from. Waiver wire wins, self-explanatory. Jordan's top 3 from a particular division in Major League Baseball. We'll take a prospect peek, and Rule Your League is where we will try to help you, make your league at the very least better if we can't help you win your league. And here's how you can get in touch with me.
You talking to me? You talking to me? You talking to me? Well, then who the hell else are you talking? You talking to me? Well, I'm the only one here.
Indeed, today I am the only one working on this show, and so you can get a hold of me at Duck Millard. You can ask Jordan why he wasn't on the show at Jordan Blundell 4. Email fullcountfantasybaseball@gmail.com. If you're interested in the Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network, you can email UFSN@uffsports.com. If you're a broadcaster, you want to start a show, you want to join the network, you want to join the future of fantasy, hit us up. and the websites fullcountfantasybaseball.ca and www.uffsports.com. And that is, of course, where you can find all the great information about this platform that we're building and how you can get involved in the best fantasy league ever. All right, let's get to some headlines now. And the use of foreign substances is going to be a topic at a pre-scheduled owners meeting. This is not an owners meeting that was just scheduled because of what's happening. It was already scheduled, but it is going to be a topic today. Actually, I believe that owners meeting is going to be held. 4 minor league pitchers were suspended 10 games each as pitchers are realizing how much some sticky stuff can increase the spin rate of their fastball. Record low batting averages, near record no-hitters. I think the no-hitters is a ride we just need to enjoy. But anyway, like a corked bat, pitchers should be suspended for this. And please just hope that one of your fantasy horses isn't caught with a mix of sunscreen and rosin. They've been testing a lot of the baseballs this year. They took some baseballs out of Trevor Bauer's game earlier this year. It's interesting. He was a guy who was, what's the right word, very vocal about pitchers and substances on the baseball earlier in his career. Haven't heard a peep out of him lately. I'm a Dodgers guy. I would hate for any of the Dodgers, after what they did to, Joe Kelly and the Astros, what Joe Kelly did to the Astros last year, for a Dodger to get caught cheating. And this sticky stuff on the baseball isn't to the degree of what the Astros did, but still, listen, we all want an edge. Everybody wants an edge. I guess that I get that, but this is getting ridiculous where, and it's not just the record low batting averages isn't just all of a sudden because pitchers are getting more spin rate. It's also because guys are trying to hit home runs every time they get up to the plate instead of just making contact. But that's for another show. All right, the second headline we're getting to is now is the time. It's post-Memorial Day in the U.S., and this is trade season. Depending on, what you're doing, you're either striking now or you're trying to be patient. If you're going all in, you're trying to trade for a star before he gets dealt to a better situation. If you're a seller, you're hoping to wait for the MLB deal so the value goes up depending on, when your league's trade deadline is. The beauty thing about the Ultimate Fantasy League Baseball is we will mimic just about everything about Major League Baseball, meaning our trade deadline will be their trade deadline. So Trevor Story is a guy who most think will be getting dealt, which might not be what you want, as he will be leaving the most hitter-friendly park in Major League Baseball. But the team I really want to narrow in on is the Pittsburgh Pirates. And you might say, why would anybody draft the Pittsburgh Pirate players? They're so bad, especially pitchers. Well, because you draft them or you pick them up on waivers hoping they will get traded to a contender. Tyler Anderson on the pitching side, prime example. Bargain basement contract, so he will be very, very enticing for teams. Also, second baseman Adam Frazier was terrible last year, playing the best baseball of his career right now. Laughably, his $4.3 million ticket is the second biggest in Pittsburgh. And then you can add reliever Richard Rodriguez to the garage sale the Pirates will be having as well. Another guy who's maybe his numbers don't look great right now, but they would look really good, and he's a good pitcher. All those players, I have Adam Frazier. I have Rodriguez in 2 different drafts. I really hope, actually I have all 3 of those guys. I have Anderson in another league as well, on the sole reason that I'm waiting for those guys to get traded and then help me on the stretch run. How about this one? 47 home runs on Casey at the Bat's anniversary. 133 years ago on Tuesday, Casey at the Bat was published in 1888, I believe by the San Francisco Chronicle. And while the subject of the poem struck out that day, saddening all the Mudville baseball fans, more than a century later, there were almost 50 home runs hit on Tuesday. Of the 47 home runs hit, 7 were 2-run shots. If that pace kept up, there would be just over 1,400 in the month, much more than the 936 hit in May. It's not going to keep up, but wouldn't it be nice if just the hitters started, pushing back and slugging home runs despite the ridiculous spin rates on fastballs. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Cody Bellinger, comes back with a grand slam last night. So maybe guys, and that could be another thing why hitting is down, is there's a ton of stars on the IL. It used to be the DL, now it's the IL. And there are basically more patients in the Major League Baseball MASH unit. Fernando Tatis didn't finish Tuesday's game because of oblique tightness. Steven Strasburg took a comebacker off the wrist, but according to reports, he was off before the pitch drilled him and was taken out of the game after that. Then an MRI revealed nerve irritation in his neck. He's on the 10-day IL. Jack Flaherty on the IL with an oblique injury. He's going to be out for a while. That happened while batting. Another reason for the universal DH. Corey Seager's still out. Marcell Ozuna is done. I was going to say he's a star that was hurt, but with his alleged actions, I don't ever doubt he'll play baseball again. And from the police witnessing it, whatever. Let's just move on. We don't need to spend any time on an animal like that, and best of luck to his partner moving forward. All right, let's wrap up with an MVP conversation. Max Muncy is moving into that MVP conversation. He started slow when it came to slugging numbers, but was still getting on base at an incredible pace. He is also valuable because he qualifies in most leagues at first, second, and third. And now he's starting to crush the ball with a hard hit percentage over 40%, starting to look like the guy who had back-to-back 35 home run seasons. He's getting consideration 2 months in for Major League Baseball MVP, and if you have on-base percentage in your league, he should be up there winning that league as well, because, Max Muncy was, you just take, so patient, but now he's starting to hit some of those balls that are, in the go zone, and, maybe it was a lingering injury. I don't know. Maybe it was confidence. I'm not sure, but now Max Muncy is starting to absolutely crush the ball. And that's a good thing for Dodgers fans and fantasy owners and GMs that have him on their list. All right, let's get to Jordan's best of the bullpens. He's talking about the Cubs bullpen in the last 14 days. Lights out. And check out the dominance here. Craig Kimbrell, 6 in the third, 12 strikeouts, picks up a win and 5 saves, no earned runs, .63 whip. Ryan Tepera, 7 in the third, also 12 Ks, 1 save, 3 holds, huge category, no earned runs, .14 whip. Andrew Chafin, 5 in the third, 4 Ks, 5 holds, huge, no earned runs, .75 whip. Tommy Nance, 5 2/3, 7 Ks, 3 holds, no earned runs, .71 whip. Like, do you realize if you just had those 4, you would win pitching easily? You're going to win holds. You're going to win saves. Like, it's crazy. You got 6 saves and 8 holds from those 4 pitchers. Unbelievable. And no earned runs. Like, that is absolute dominance. The Cubs bullpen in the last 2 weeks. And you know what? I think baseball's better when the Cubbies are good. So I like that stat. I like those statistics right there that show the lovable losers who recently won the World Series. I say recently. It still seems recent because it took so long for them to win one. Have a absolute just smoke-throwing bullpen going right now. And that's the reason they're leading the St. Louis Cardinals by a game and a half in the NL Central. They got a 3-game lead on Milwaukee. Cincinnati's only 7 games back. They could get hot with the way Winker hits and some of those guys. So bravo to the Cubbies on a dominant bullpen in the last 2 weeks.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
You be cocky and arrogant, even when you're getting beat.
2 men enter, 1 man leaves.
Prediction? Yes, prediction.
And right now, I've got 2 men.
It's serious.
Okay, so Jordan's not here. You, the listener and the viewer, you get to decide baseball Thunderdome today. I'm going to give you the choice of 2 guys, and you got to pick one that you would want in fantasy. Here you go. Legend edition. It was Lou Gehrig Day in Major League Baseball this week. How do we not go with a couple of guys from the Pinstripers? Babe Ruth, or is it Lou Gehrig that you are taking? Who would you take in Baseball Thunderdome? Please hit me up with a tweet at Duck Millard. You can also email me, fantasybaseball, or fullcountfantasybaseball@gmail.com, or hit me up on Twitter, as mentioned, at Duck Millard. Fullcountfantasybaseball@gmail.com or Duck Millard. Who do you go with, Ruth or Gehrig? If they were in fantasy, and oh, by the way, they are going to be in fantasy when we get the Legends League going for Major League Baseball. We are going to have some of the best players of all time, current players. You're going to absolutely love it. But hit me up on Twitter at Duck Millard. Who do you got? Ruth versus Gehrig in our Baseball Thunderdome today.
This is Full Count Fantasy Baseball.
What the hell's going on out there?
Looks like a convention. Pretty soon they're going to call the roll.
Get your ass out there and check it out.
Presented by Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports.
Excuse me, what the hell's going on out here?
Well, Nick's scared because his eyelids are jammed in his old man's hair. We need a live rooster to take the curse off Jose's glove, and nobody seems to know what to get Millie or Jimmy for their wedding present.
You own the game.
Candlesticks always make a nice gift, and maybe we can find out where she's registered, maybe a place setting or maybe a silverware pattern. Okay, let's get to it.
Full Count Fantasy Baseball is part of the Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network, your one-stop fantasy sports shop. We're building something all fantasy fans will love, and we're looking for quality programming to join us. Reach out if you're interested in being part of the rotation. Whether you have a daily, weekly, or even monthly show, if it's about fantasy sports, we would love to chat. Email ufsn@uffsports.com, or give a follow and a direct message on Twitter at UFS Network. You can check out all the information at www.uffsports.com as well. All right, as we get to waiver wire wins, just the one of them today for me, and it's a reliever. We talked about the Cubs relievers. Most of those players are probably snatched up depending on how valuable your league is for relievers. But as far as the guy I picked up recently, it's Chad Green, right-handed pitcher reliever with the Yankees. And I'm bullish on relievers in my Yahoo league that I'm in with Jordan, the Prospects Baseball League. You know, I still have a couple of top starters like Walker Buehler, Jose Barrios. Danny Duffy was having a fine season before he was injured. But relief pitchers have been huge, and Chad Green came through Wednesday night. Picked up the hold with a K, 0 runs allowed. Has 7 holds now, 25 strikeouts in 27 innings, and also has picked up a couple of saves in that as well. So, you know, waiver wire wins aren't always, you're not going to find a guy who's hitting 50 home runs on the waiver wire. You got to find guys that are going to fit in different situations, and that's how you make a waiver wire win. All right, here is Jordan's top 3 in the division. He's looking at outfielders in the American League East over the past 2 weeks. And we start with Randy Arroza Reena of the Tampa Bay Rays. Remember that playoff he had last year where he was not only setting rookie records, he was setting all-time records for home runs, and he's off to another good start. He is a streaky guy, but when he is playing, he's dominant. Power and speed, fills out a lot of categories. In the last 2 weeks, 13 runs, 14 hits, 3 long balls, 11 RBIs. There's 4 stolen bases, and an OPS of 824. Pretty nice stuff. Also, Trey Mancini we have of the Baltimore Orioles. 11 runs, 16 hits, 4 long balls. Also has 11 RBIs, 1.207 OPS. This is a guy who not only is, battling for the MVP, he also battled cancer. So it's a feel-good story as well. Great start to the 2021 season. And back to Tampa, top of the division. Austin Meadows has scored 8 times 13 hits, 4 home runs with 14 RBIs. Also has a stolen base and an OPS of 1.221. He is, of course, the second outfielder from the Rays on this list, which means, yeah, they're killing it. 11 in a row, first in the AL East. Meadows was at one point a top prospect, and now he's looking like an all-star. So pretty impressive stuff from, like I said, that AL East. It's going to be really, really fun to watch over the next little while, especially with the upstart Blue Jays as they have going. So there we go. That is top 3 in the division. We'll get to Prospect Peak right after this.
This is Full Count Fantasy Baseball.
Why are you shaking me off?
I want to bring the heater to announce my presence with authority.
This guy's a first ball fastball hitter. He's looking for heat.
Oh, yeah? So what? He ain't seen my heat.
All right, mate. Give me your heat.
Presented by Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports.
Why is he always calling me me? I'm the guy driving a Porsche.
Get in the game where you own the game.
God, sucker teed off in that like he knew I was going to throw a fastball.
He did know.
How?
I told him.
Full Count Fantasy Baseball is presented by Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports, the most realistic fantasy platform around. The Ultimate Fantasy Hockey League covers everything the NHL does, from a scouting program to actual playoff series. We had a playoff draft where you pluck from the non-playoff fantasy franchises, and then you go on your way. And then if a player that on your team that didn't make the playoffs gets picked up, you're leasing them and you get some prize pool back. And they're just fantasy players. They're NFTs, digital assets on the Zilliqa blockchain. You can bid on, you can trade, you can build your team or your scouting platform. Check it out, www.uffsports.com. Get in the game where you own the game. All right, here is our prospect peak today. Again, just one because Jordan is not here today. I'm going with Sixto Sanchez, a right-handed pitcher with the Miami Marlins system. He's 22 years old, and unfortunately, this isn't great news in this prospect peak, but it might be an opportunity for you to get a guy cheap if somebody has this player in your league and they were counting on him getting called up to the Marlins. But he started the season with COVID protocols, keep him out of half of spring training. Was hoping to debut mid-April, but then shoulder discomfort ended that plan. Again, those who drafted him in deeper leagues were getting eager for a summer 2021 debut with the Marlins. But another setback has the Fish taking the slow approach, and it's disappointing to see a young man who debuted with 39 innings last year battling injuries. But if you can be patient with him and the situation is handled properly, there is a top prospect there. And this might be a guy that, you know, if you're unsure because injuries are starting to hinder him a little bit, you could use him as trade bait right now to a team that is in a rebuild mode that would be looking for a guy that they can sit on for a while and make sure. So a couple of options for you. I'm not sure he's going to be able to make an impact. I guess we don't really know the extent of the shoulder injury, but it's just keeps stalling out this year when he's getting going. And so you're kind of hoping, if you're playing the long game, that the Fish actually take their time and make sure that this guy is going to be good to go, because he was definitely a top prospect for sure.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
I don't think it taints it.
What you talking about, mister?
You're crazy. I like you, but you're crazy.
Okay, so in Rule Your League, what we try to do is either give your league a rule to maybe implement or think about that could possibly make your league better, or just a rule to live by for you, the fantasy player. You know, whether it's, do not ever respond to a ridiculous trade offer or something of that nature. Or maybe you do want to respond and mock the person that sent you the trade offer. I kind of tend to just be like, thanks, but no thanks when I get a ridiculous trade offer, and just move on, because you don't want to, there are some petty people out there, man, and you offend a person in your league, they might not trade with you because They're emotional, and the emotions get the best of them. And that's another rule right there. Take emotion out of it and think with your head. Don't think about particularly, your favorite players. If your favorite players are on the great team, like I tend to go after Dodgers because they're really good. I would do the same thing with, Tampa Bay pitchers, Chicago Cub relief pitchers, even though they're not my favorite teams. But my rule this week is, everybody has some sort of hitting category. My rule is, and my recommendation is, to get hits instead of batting average. Batting average, it's not as bad as plus minus in the NHL, but it's not, generally regarded as the most accurate stat. It is a stat, but I think you should just go hits. Just like 1 point for a hit or whatever you want to be, especially if you have OPS, on base percentage plus slugging, or if you have on base percentage, or if you have slugging, if you have some of those other things. I think hits instead of a batting average, this kind of gives you a more indication. It's just straight up head to head. If one player goes 0 for 4, he's not dropping everything drastically. So I think just the amount of hits instead of average is the rule that I would go by. And, I am the commissioner of the Ultimate Fantasy League Baseball, but the owners will ultimately dictate the rules in their owner meetings. I'm also the commissioner of another league. We have average, and if I can help it, we won't after this season. All right, that's just about going to wrap things up. But before we go, it's time to get to Weekend Watch. I'm checking out the Astros and the Jays on Friday night. You got Zach Greinke versus Ryu. Would have been nice to see George Springer facing his old team, but he's been valuable for about 5 minutes this year in between injuries. Hopefully he gets back soon. But you will get to watch Vlad Guerrero and the boys pound the ball and hopefully hear fans boo the cheaters. The Blue Jays are exciting. All of Canada's going to be on a big wave, just like they were for the bat flip, just like they were for the Raptors, just like they were for the Leafs. I guess the Leafs are out, so I guess they won't be doing that. But, man, the Blue Jays are a lot of fun right now, and I'll be checking that out on Friday. Jays and Astros. All right, Full Count Fantasy Baseball is part of the Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network, your one-stop fantasy sports shop. Follow along on Twitter at UFS Network and find UFSN on YouTube. If you have a fantasy show, hit us up. We would love for you to join the fun. One message before we go from Crash Davis.
You be cocky and arrogant, even when you're getting beat.
And that is going to wrap things up for this episode. Again, Jordan Blundell will make it back to the show next week. Every Thursday, 10 a.m. We'll hopefully have it figured out right off the bat this time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much to Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports for being the presenting sponsor of this program. Enjoy the baseball that will be happening. Well, it is happening right now and happening throughout the day and the weekend. One more piece of advice for Major League Baseball. Ban the shift. See you later.